Welcome to your daily instalment of Crucible Catch Up. Now we're getting towards the quarter-final stage, and one player who made it through to the last 8 with a session to spare is the youngster Michael White, bringing an end to the challenge of Detchawet Poomchang from Thailand. I'm joined by Jonny Bryan, who works on the World Snooker website, does some of the interviews with the players at the end of the matches. Jonny, what was your take on Poomchang? Because I know he did divide opinion in the press room, but whatever your thoughts on him, he was a breath of fresh air to the tournament.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth, Rob. A breath of fresh air indeed. I've never seen a player like that. That first session he played against Maguire, or sorry, that match I should say, you know, it was just extraordinary. He got lost in the arena twice. He knocked over bottles of water. He was gesturing that I've never seen from any snooker player in the 5 years I've been covering the sport. Maguire was flummoxed. We were flummoxed in the press room, but the crowd loved it.
They did. Now, he resumed 7-1 down against Michael White, so it was always going to be a mountain to climb. And I think you could almost tell in his body language that he wasn't quite as demonstrative. He wasn't quite as dominant in terms of his emotions around the table. He knew that it was game over, really, against White.
Well, absolutely. That Thursday night session when he came in 7-1 down against White, I think he was trying to play to the crowd too much. You know, he wanted to get them on their side, because you've got to bear in mind that they had the whole arena to themselves at that point as well. So he tried to get them on their side too much, and in doing so, he lost concentration. You know, I think the crowd warmed to him against Maguire because he was the accidental buffoon, as it were, and he tried to take that into that match against White, and fair play to White. His temperament, I was so impressed by.
Well, let's talk about Michael White, because Poomchang's had his moment in the sun, and we'll all remember that fondly, and you know, and it will go down in Crucible folklore. Michael White is now into a quarter-final, and he will play the winner of Ricky Walden and Robert Milkins, and that is a huge opportunity for White to get into a semi-final as a debutant. It's the way that section of the draws opened up has been incredible.
Absolutely. One thing I will say about Michael White, he has got one of the best cornermen in the game, and the last qualifier to come here and win on his debut in Teddy Griffiths. If there's any player who knows how to win here on a first attempt, that man does so, and probably one of the best coaches in the game, who's not only revolutionised I'm trying to get the right word, but yeah, I think revolutionised other players' games, as in Robert Milkins, there's another one as well, Barry Hawkins, Mark Davis. You see that he works wonders, and I think with young White, he's got a little bit of a star there.
Do you think it's a bit early to talk about a changing of the guard with Welsh snooker? I mean, Mark Williams, as Philip Stoddleworth says, is one of the game's all-time greats. 2 world titles, 2 UKs. He's won absolutely everything. Still in the game, and hopefully still has great things to contribute. But was there a feeling that it was one generation to another when White beat him, and the fact that he's carrying the mantle for Welsh snooker potentially into the semi-finals?
I think so. I think from what I've seen against Williams, he was very impressive. And again, against Detchawet, as I said, the thing that impressed me most was his temperament. With Detchawet going around and playing to the crowd and everything else, White sat in his chair, took everything in and said, "You can do whatever you want, mate, I'm still going to beat you." He's got Milkins or Walden in the quarter-final, and I think he's going to put up a strong test, whichever one of those 2 players he plays.
Well, in contrast to that section of the draw, which has become wide open, and not necessarily, no disrespect to the players involved, not necessarily those we were expecting at that point, but another part of the draw, Murphy coming through a really tight match with Dott, and his reward, potentially, a meeting with Judd Trump.
Match of the tournament for me so far, Murphy versus Dott. It was exceptional snooker. Murphy 6-2 ahead. That morning session on Friday morning with Graham Dott coming back at him, it was impressive from the 2006 world champion. One turning point in this match I thought was the respotted black. Dotty going for the double. He said in his press conference beforehand that he had a kick on the blue and a break of, I think it was 27 or 10-9 to go 11-9. That's why he thought the match was lost. But Murphy, you know, like him or love him, that he handles the pressure like any other player on the circuit. He knows when the chips are down and he needs a clearance to win a match. You can always put your house on Murphy to do so.
It's interesting talking about Graham Dott, isn't it? There was a little bit of fun around the length of time the match took against Ebden when he came through in fine style in the end. You know, Graham Dott has contested 3 of the last 9 world finals. Murphy went 6-2 in the first session. Well, Dott reversed that, and he won the second session 6-2 to go into that decider 8-all. He does tend to produce his best at the Crucible, and I know on this occasion against Murphy it wasn't quite enough, but he is a player who probably deserves more respect for what he's done here at the Crucible than is given to him in the public domain.
Well, I sat with him in the first week of January out of a PTC out in Munich, and he said to me that his games was in pieces. You know, it was odds and ends, it was all over the place. And funnily enough, he got to the final of that PTC. You know, he went back to his old coach, I think it was Dale Hill, and he sorted out some little tweaks. And he has seen signs that his game is coming back. But Murphy, on the other hand, last night was, I thought, exceptional. There's an old case of some dark horses in sport. We're all talking about Ronnie. We're all talking about Selby. We're talking about Judd. Shaun Murphy, 10-1 right now to win this tournament. It's not a bad bet. Not a bad bet at all.
Okay, so you're at the moment, of course, we don't know who Shaun Murphy's going to play in that quarter-final, but you're suggesting, I suspect, that you fancy Murphy to beat Trump if they do meet in the quarters.
Yes, I honestly do. I think Murphy, he's been very much under the radar, and I think he likes that. You know, he's having no attention on him whatsoever. Everybody's focusing on Ronnie, everybody's focusing on the Selby Triple Crown. Judd, is his comeback coming on? Maybe. Nobody's mentioning Murphy. And listen, the bookmaker's going to 10-1 at the moment. He's in the last 8, possibly to meet Trump or Fu. Don't write him off either. And then the winner may be O'Sullivan in the semi-final. But it ends over the longer distance, race to 17 frames, and then that's when it probably gets a marathon of the mind. And then when the semi-final start, General Steve Davis used to say, that's when the tournament really begins.
Well, that's what Jonny Bryan says. He says, get your money on Shaun Murphy. He's out at 10-1 at the moment. You've got to be in it to win it, and he's made the quarterfinals. The draw is fascinating. So many different connotations, so many different potential matchups. We're a week in now at this year's championship, and things are really beginning to bubble up nicely. Same time, same place for another Crucible Catch Up tomorrow.